Many years ago, I was able to meet this stunning lady, absolutely labelled apparently one of the most exciting women ever on the planet by the brilliant actor, director, superstar himself, Orson Welles. Of course, he'd not met you, had he? Well, I know. All you ladies out there are the most exciting women on the planet, aren't you? Of course you are. But what a label to put on somebody. Eartha Kitt, of course, was simply wonderful. And what was terrific about Eartha Kitt simply was the fact that she was an exciting performer, but had actually really started life as a ballet dancer and then really thought she was just going to become a dancer. It's only when they discovered that she could also sing and perform so excitedly that even when she came over here to the Royal Variety Performance, they asked her to tame down her act, seemingly because, of course, they were getting rather nervous about how this might play out in front of the British monarchy. I would have thought, of course, His Royal Highness Prince Philip, the Duke of Edinburgh, would have simply just loved her. She was terrific fun. Now, I met her way back when she was the disco queen, as it were. She'd reinvented herself once again and was recording tracks like Where Is My Man and breaking back into the charts at a seasoned age. And it's funny because we had a friend who, was in common, who also put Eartha back literally into the epicenter of a career in the unique place of Batley in West Yorkshire. You see, he booked her, and this gentleman was called Alan. He was a general manager of the Batley Variety Club, and they booked all the big names, huge names at the time, Dame Shirley Bassey, so many others. Never quite got Frank Sinatra or Elvis, but they desperately tried. Now, here's where it gets interesting, because as Alan conferred with this, as we all know, Eartha Kitt appeared in the wonderful TV series Batman, alongside Adam West and Burt Ward. And for me, as much as I like Julie Newmar and people like that, I did actually think that Eartha Kitt was kind of, for me, the best Catwoman. What do you think? It was just the purr, wasn't it? Just brilliant when you think about it. But what was also interesting, listening back to an interview that I did with Eartha many years ago, Batman at the time wasn't seen as the big thing for people. They just didn't kind of like, if you were doing that, it was children's TV, it was 20th Century Fox, William Dozier, and there wasn't necessarily the budgets, But they managed to get some quite big names to pop up in the show, included, of course, our very own Dame Joan Collins for an episode. But as Eartha Kitt pointed out to me, and I didn't realise this, that we could have had another British star in the show. That's right. You see, as they were casting around and trying to, get people to come into the show, what the bosses did was look at major Hollywood names that might need a jolt and remind a younger audience that, they were still around. Now, I've often believed that if you start in children's television, you're very lucky because you attach yourself to people very young. And then they watch you throughout their lives with a sense of nostalgia. You see that with, TV presenters like Anton Deck, for instance, over here in the United Kingdom. In America, maybe Arthur Godfrey, people like that, Now, apparently, according to Eartha, while the bosses were looking to cast people around, they came up with this brilliant idea of none other than Bob Hope. Now, what they wanted, apparently, with Bob Hope, and she thought this was a terrific idea, was a double episode of Catwoman and Bob Hope as the Joker. Now, as you know, on screen, it eventually was played by Cesar Romero, a brilliant actor, a debonair Hollywood star, and a very good-looking gentleman. Absolutely, ladies. But what was fascinating about this was the only reason why Cesar Romero got it in the end was that Bob Hope, according to Eartha, didn't like the idea of being caked in all of that, makeup, green hair, luminous thing, and the big smiley sort of mouth that Cesar Romero made that character his own. And so because he was unwilling to do that, he literally walked away from an iconic TV show. According to Eartha, many years later, they were working on a show together. And she said to him, did he regret it? And he said, well, yes and no. He thought the fee was paltry and 20th Century Fox wasn't near a golf course. That was one of the other stipulations that you had working alongside Bob. He needed to zip off to a golf course at any moment. But he did say that he didn't think he could have pulled it off as well as Cesar Romero. And so consequently, he thought he'd made the right decision. But he had hoped they may have come back with another screen villain. And sadly they didn't. It appears that once you upset Batman, Adam West, Burt Ward, and of course William Dozier, well, that was the end of it. Now, do you think Bob would have made a good Joker? After all, he was a funny man in real life and on stage. Or would we be better off, as Eartha said, sticking with the likes of Cesar Romero, who made the role literally his own? And she, of course, was the perfect Catwoman. Neil Sean in the very heart of London.